I remember my dad taking me and my older brothers to Best Buy one day for some video game shopping. One game that immediately caught our attention was Godzilla Save the Earth for the PlayStation 2. It seems that every young boy always goes into some sort of dinosaur phase, or like, they're always into some sort of bizarre looking creatures of some sorts. Then we bought the game. It was a lot of fun. I remember my oldest brother playing as Rodan, my second oldest playing as Gigan, and I always played as Godzilla. Then my dad told us about the Godzilla movie series, and little did we know was that for Godzilla's 50th anniversary that was going on around that time, they were re-releasing a bunch of them on DVD. So every weekend became a trip to the mall to find every Godzilla movie we can afford. We got one of the old box sets from Classic Media, as well as Godzilla vs. Gigan. That box set had Godzilla King of the Monsters, Rodan, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Godzilla's Revenge, and Terror of Mechagodzilla. Terror of Mechagodzilla was the first Godzilla movie I ever watched as a kid. I remember it being weird, but it was still really fun to watch. I thought Titanosaurus was a little funny, but Mechagodzilla was just awesome, and I really loved the fight at the end. My little brother at the time was also getting pretty interested in dinosaurs, so I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, look what Dad got us," and I was holding Godzilla vs. Gigan. Then we watched it together. Apparently that movie had a lot more swearing than I thought.
You're a hard bitch.
Then we watched all the other ones in that box, except for Godzilla King of the Monsters. I don't know why, but I thought it was just too cool for black and white movies, and as a kid, I wondered, who would want to watch something so old? Oh, the irony in that sentence. I actually did have some friends back in preschool who were either familiar with Godzilla already, or I introduced them to Godzilla. I have a very fond memory of playing what I called the Godzilla game every recess in middle school. So the object of the game was that one person was Godzilla while everyone was G-Force. Everyone had to hide in, like, it can be like a little tunnel, like a slide, or like a little playhouse, and Godzilla would walk over and start hitting it, and this means that everyone would have to evacuate elsewhere, and the last man out is out of the game. And this keeps going until one person is left, and that person wins the game. And he has two options: either become Godzilla for the next game, or join Godzilla as another monster. And it was just really fun. Then my little brother and I were really into Godzilla. We had many drawings of Godzilla. I'd always draw the monsters fighting each other, and as time went by, we would later get Godzilla 1998, Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla Tokyo SOS, Godzilla 2000, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, Godzilla vs. Destroya, Space Godzilla, Against Mechagodzilla, Final Wars, all that. And because my brothers and I were, because we were so spoiled, my dad denied our requests to go to the mall for more Godzilla movies. So instead, we would watch whatever Godzilla movies were playing on the TV on weekends. There was Godzilla vs. Megalon, versus Destroya, versus Megaguirus, and more. Then came the Great Movie Dump, where we sold a bunch of our movies, and that included all the Godzilla movies we had. I guess we were all just kind of tired of Godzilla at that point, and for a couple of years, just wasn't into Godzilla as I used to be. Then my little brother got a Space Godzilla action figure from Toys R Us, and I didn't even know there were toys for the Godzilla series. And he'll get more and more, like Godzilla, Destroya, Hedorah. Then he got Godzilla Unleashed for the PlayStation 2. And I was starting to feel very nostalgic. Then I found out about James Rolfe, also known as Cinemassacre, most famously known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. And there I found out about all of the Godzilla movies thanks to his Godzilla-thon for Monster Madness one year. Then I begged my parents again for more Godzilla movies. And for Christmas that year, I got the recent Classic Media Godzilla collection at the time, and it was very much like the old one, except it had no Rodan, but there was the original Gojira, as well as Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster and Invasion of the Astro Monster, also known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. My dad wanted me to watch that one first because it was his favorite while growing up. Then I got bored one day and then decided to watch the original Godzilla movie from 1954. I was not the same. It was then I realized why Godzilla is so important and why he's so popular and what he represented. This was not the Godzilla I grew up watching. This was totally different. Well, I have seen Godzilla as a villain before, but I just sort of compared it to the Hulk, where he can be reckless, but also have a heart of gold. It took me 5 years to finally watch it, and I guess the real reason as to why I kind of avoided this movie at first was I just wasn't ready. I was familiar with the more innocent Godzilla movies.
You're a hard bitch.
And I guess I just wasn't ready to see what Godzilla truly was. And yeah, I mean, this was a real eye-opener for me. So then my journey to collect every Godzilla movie began. Blockbuster was reaching a decline, so we rented a bunch of their Godzilla movies. We would also collect video games, comic books, toys, all that, and I became a bigger Godzilla fan than before. Then I heard about Pacific Rim coming out, as well as the legendary Godzilla movie at the time, and I got even more excited. I really love Pacific Rim, such a great movie. Then I also got into shows like Ultraman and Attack on Titan, and I started to watch more non-Godzilla movies like Mothra, War of the Gargantuas, and all that to kind of hype me up for Legendary's Godzilla movie, which I ended up loving. Then Toho made live-action Attack on Titan movies, and the style the Godzilla movies were made in, which I also really loved. Then Toho started making Godzilla movies again with Shin Godzilla. Really loved that one too. And I definitely can't wait for the Godzilla movies in the future. Godzilla has always been a huge part of me. I honestly don't know where I would be without such a popular movie franchise. I guess a lot of fans can say the same as well. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that Godzilla's been around for over 60 years, he's starred in over 30 films, and you know, to me, he's always king of the monsters.
You're a hard bitch.